Adito, hello, I'm Maya Grace in case you don't know, and this is my channel where I talk about sewing and alternative fashion. There are so many people with side hustles in the makerspace and just on the internet in general, and it's getting to a point where all of TikTok and all of Instagram Reels just feels like a giant advertising hub. Like whether it's for some influencer who's just trying to make every single breath they take profitable, or a small business that's trying to get you to buy tiny little yarn creations that took like 5 minutes to make. And there are some really great small businesses out there that I've found through TikTok and Instagram Reel. And yes, this video is a little bit hypocritical. Bite me. There is a level of monetizing yourself and exploiting your audience that I find yucky, and I really want to discuss it, because if no one talks about it, then it's just gonna keep getting worse. This is an opinion piece, and you are entitled to your own opinion, and you're even welcome to share it if you like. That's what the comment section is for. I talked recently about like my obsession with sewing blogs back in like the early 2010s, like 2009, 2010 era. And I remember just the full-on drama that the introduction of affiliate links brought, because like everyone felt the need to add disclaimers of like, oh, all of my links are not affiliate links. I only link to things if I truly believe in them and I make no money on it, and I would never do that. And like adding little advertisings in the margins of your blog or your website was like a big deal. Like people only did that if they had put like a bunch of thought into it, and people would sometimes make posts talking about like why they chose to get 5 cents per view or whatever. And you know, just comparing in my head like the caution with which people monetize their audience back in the earlier days of the internet versus now, when people will full on like make a TikTok where the entire point is for them to be like, give me money please. It's so weird. It's really weird for me, and I'm showing my age right now, and that's fine. I don't age, I'm a vampire. It did start to get really confusing around 2015, I remember, because there was just this standard for sewing blogs that any review that was given of a product was completely 100% honest. But then people started being gifted products, and you know, everyone in this space is so polite that when you're given a gift, you know, you're gonna say nice things about it. And I did in fact bite the bullet, and I bought a sewing machine exclusively because a sewing influencer that I like recommended it. I still like her a lot, actually. This machine broke, like fully broke 3 separate times, and had to be like sent back to the manufacturer and sent back, and then eventually like the whole Spiegel company like went under. I'm pretty sure like you can't get anything back from them when you call their customer service representatives now. Or maybe they just blacklisted me because I kept breaking their machines. I don't know. But the thing is, this machine was advertised as like the machine I would teach my grandchildren on, and she fully agreed with all of these statements in her vlog and was like, yeah, this machine's great. It can handle sequins. It can handle like 5 layers of denim. And I was like, hot hecky decky, that's the machine for me. But it was not, because I broke it 3 times. So like it did start to get dicey and confusing, and then I don't know, I guess recently I've just been looking at the sewing space a lot, because I've been looking at my own channel and what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy doing. And man, whenever you look at the money parts of it, it's not fun. That's not the fun part at all. But that seems to be the focus that I see in a lot of other creators. This will make sense in a minute. That was not a good summary. One of the biggest issues that I'm seeing in the maker space right now, specifically with sewing, is people branching out and making huge commitments that they're really not ready for. For example, I see a lot of people starting Etsy stores and little fashion lines, and they just don't have the skills to pull off what they're seeing in their heads yet, and then they start mass manufacturing and creating things that are not, you know, on a professional level. Like they're not the standard that you would expect to see. And this really makes my heart hurt, because I love seeing beginner sewists have confidence, but there's got to be something in between not valuing your creations at all and thinking that you should be charging like $200 for a corset that has zip tie boning. That's not the way to do things, bestie. And I see this happening in other spaces as well. The pink sauce lady is an infamous example. She wasn't even really a chef, but was making sauce and selling it to people. Thankfully, zip tie boning corsets will not give you botulism. They're just, you know, not super high quality. I mean, zip ties are a great boning material. I use zip ties all the time for my corsets. It's just, if I bought a corset from a corset maker, I would expect real bones. I have the most like burns in my beans whenever it comes to like the sewing pattern world, because like I see people talking about sewing patterns like they're a get rich quick scheme, because you just make the pattern once and then you can sell an unlimited number of them. Ooh, latent income. And that's not how it works. Like, it is really nice that, you know, I don't have to physically hand someone something every time they want one of my patterns. That's why I can give them out for free and just accept donations. But I don't think that if I were charging for them, I would be getting rich quick. Let's just close our eyes for a minute, and I'm gonna like walk you through the process of designing a pattern and getting it out to the public, okay? It takes an ill-defined amount of time to actually come up with a design initially. And I know a lot of these courses just tell you to recycle existing patterns and existing designs, but personally, I don't like doing that. I want to actually create something new and useful that serves a purpose. I don't want to just make the millionth perfect t-shirt pattern or whatever it may be. Then after you nail down your design, you have to decide on drafting methods and like what parts of the body you want it to be fitted to, what parts you want it to be loose on, and like you really have to think that through, because that's going to determine how you grade later, and that's going to determine how you draft it in CAD. And then you have to make like a muslin or a wearable toile or something along those lines. That takes at least a day, usually like 2 full days, sometimes 4 if I'm being honest. You also have to decide on how many views and variations you're going to include early on in this stage, or else you can wind up with a pattern that splits into like 5 or 6 patterns that has happened to me multiple times. It's part of the reason why I keep losing files, because they'll just get too big and then things will crash and it is a mess. I have lost more patterns than I have published, and it's, ooh, whew. And then it takes like at least 3 days to get like your pattern fully drafted in your CAD software and to get your instructions written. I like to do those two as like one process. And then it takes like another 2 to 3 days to grade the sizes, and grading is not easy. So it takes a lot of like referencing other pattern drafters and other materials and doing a lot of math. Like sometimes you'll grade an entire line and then decide that you don't like how it's graded, and you'll go back to the beginning, or you'll want to do a full bust version and a not full bust version. Like there's so many decisions that are made during that process. And then it takes you like a day and a half to mat all of the sizes and get them ready for printing. Then you have to make another 1 or 2 of the thing, or take it to pattern testing so that you have examples of what it looks like, and so that you have ones that were sewn that you took pictures of and took video of as it was going together for the tutorials. And that's assuming that nothing goes wrong. Like, I walked through some of the things that can go wrong, but there is a lot that can go wrong while you're pattern drafting. You can discover that the whole thing you thought was gonna work only works for certain sizes, and the whole thing gets scrapped. Or that, you know, it actually looks a lot dumber than you thought it was going to. Like the cool raglan sleeve turtleneck that I drafted and then realized looked so dumb. It looked so dumb, you guys. And now what I wanna know is how someone who has more experience with pattern drafting than I do, and with indie pattern distribution than I do, could ethically sit down and tell a bunch of beginners who have no experience with it that any of that process is easy or will make them money quickly. I don't think that's done in good faith. Most beginner grading tutorials basically boil down to, hey, this is really hard, so here's a couple rules of thumb and some anatomy-based logic for you. Have fun and good luck. Pattern grading is infamously hard. There are professionals in the industry, like, who have 10, 20 years of experience, who bicker with each other about what the best methods are, because it's very confusing. There's a lot of math involved. There's a lot of anatomy. There's a lot of anatomy involved. There's a lot of logic involved. There's a lot involved with it, and none of it's easy. That's part of why I think it's fun. It takes a special kind of evil to lie to people like that. That's all I'm gonna say. It also devalues the labor that pattern drafters are doing. Like, yes, a well-drafted pattern that doesn't have like horrible fit issues and is easy to tailor, that's worth its weight in gold. It's worth at least $15 USD, but it's not easy to draft that pattern. But I see people making patterns that no one asked for, and then doing like really good marketing campaigns and getting a whole bunch of people to buy them, and then you never see a bunch of finished makes. That's all I'm gonna say. There's been incidents where like the grading of a pattern has literally not existed, and it was a one-size-fits-all pattern that was marketed as size inclusive because the person felt that their body was just an inclusive shape, I guess. Or like, I'll see sewing patterns where you're only getting one size when you pay $15 for it, and it's like, but what if you're in between sizes? What if you need more than one because you and a buddy are gonna be making the same project? Like, I don't know. And like, worse yet, I'll see people charging like $15 for the base pattern, right? And then they'll sell like an extra sleeve or something like that for like $5 to $10 as well. And sometimes I'll see like pattern lines where I can look at the lines and tell that they drafted like 1 or 2 patterns, and then they just kept adding tiny little tweaks to it to make a blouse version and a dress version. And then they're charging $15 for both of those when it didn't really take a lot of labor to do the change. I'm never going to begrudge someone like putting food on their table and clothing their children or whatever, but you know, some of these tactics just don't sit with me right. Also, I don't know who's running around telling the beginning sewing vloggers that this is easy, because it's not. And they all seem to think that this is really easy. Like, specifically, I see a lot of people in like costume forums and whatnot. They'll post a couple of videos and then they'll be genuinely confused and upset that they're not paying bills and going to the garment district and, you know, getting life-changing amounts of money from the couple of vlogs that they posted, and that seems to be like their main focus and the main thing that they want to have happen, and they're like hurt that they're not there. So I guess I'm just confused as to when this space became about money. Like, as someone who's had phases of my life where this channel and my Ko-fi have like been my main support, I'm still confused as to how people think that, you know, this is about the money. The money's nice, but like, it doesn't come if you focus on it. You know what I mean? If I were to sit here and just make a bunch of videos where I was like, give my mama, you know, that wouldn't be, I would lose my entire audience, I hope. I hope you guys wouldn't stay with me through that. And like, monetization does take a lot of time and effort, and the marketing that it requires, the putting yourself out there in a way that makes sense and will find the people that actually want to see what you're bringing to the table, that's a skill in and of itself. I feel like the process of making and sharing what you've made, or the process of gaining skill and discovering new methods and sharing those with other people, I don't know, I feel like that has kind of been forgotten a little bit. The community is not where it used to be. Like, I'm really missing the community aspect of the sewing space, if that makes sense. Like, back when I was obsessively reading all of these sewing blogs, the community was like first and foremost and right up front, right? Like, everyone was linking to each other's like blogs, and like people were making things inspired by each other, and the comment sections were always full of like people who had platforms that they were creating on and people who didn't have platforms they were creating on. And it was just like an egalitarian conversation where everyone was equal, whether they had a fancy camera or not, you know? And I really don't see that happening anymore. Like, there's almost this pedestal effect that's happening on YouTube because, you know, some people are able to string together like a whole video and other people are just watching and commenting, but still making gorgeous stuff. And that's part of the reason why I do like the keep sewing on videos and whatnot, because I want to highlight the people who are doing great work but aren't sharing it themselves, because like I said, it's a skill in and of itself. And like, whenever I see people talking about community, it'll be like a community centered around them and their blog, and first off, that takes so much effort, and I think it adds to a lot of burnout as a creator to have to maintain that sort of a thing. But also, like, by nature, if you're isolating yourself as a pillar of a community and trying to draw people in to only your content, like, you're gonna wind up recycling content from other creators a lot. Like, I've watched all of the same how to do YouTube videos that a lot of the beginners watch, and there is the advice given that you should be recycling content, like to get practice, or that you should find a video you really like that did well and just tit for tat copy it. Or if you find a how-to video, you should just redo it, but like with better lighting and cuter aesthetics, and that's totally valid. But I don't know. I think it's starting to create a lot of unnecessary noise. It's getting really hard to actually find people that know what they're talking about. None of this is to say that I don't like aesthetic beginner project vlogs. I love those, actually. A lot of my favorite creators and my favorite videos are beginner project vlogs, or people who are beginners. But what I really don't like is people who are beginners or like intermediate sewers like myself passing themselves off like experts. Because then you give really bad advice and people can't tell it's bad advice. And I'm saying this as someone who has followed a lot of really bad advice and not known that I was doing that. Bag lining is not good. You don't need to do it. And I'm not the only person fed up with this trend either, because r/sewing on Reddit has completely banned the use of links to YouTube at all. Like, if you link to YouTube, you get like a little timeout corner situation and your post gets deleted. So we've been annoying. We've been annoying people a lot, and it's embarrassing. There was also a bra making Facebook group that I was a part of where like a whole person was banned because they started a bra making course and were charging like $50 or some obscene amount of money for it. But they were a beginner themselves, and all of the information that was like in their course was already free in the bra making Facebook. Really, why would you do that? I don't know who is telling people to do this. This entitled attitude really seems to manifest itself in this idea that if you just shove your video into enough people's faces, then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, your dreams will come true, I guess. You just gotta make the right infographic and sew some cool pop culture reference, and then everyone will love you and you'll have AdSense money so that you can roll around in. I think that might be the goal. But like, I don't see what kind of value that's bringing to the viewer, you know? Like, I can see what value that's bringing to you as a creator, but I don't see the value that that's bringing to someone watching the content. And I've fallen into this trap myself. My mermaid make from that like 1920s slip dress haunts my nightmares. I rushed it so bad. There's so many mistakes in it, but I had a deadline, and you know, it did not turn out good, and I feel really bad about it. I feel like I definitely have been part of this problem that I'm complaining about. But every time that I've sewn with a thumbnail in mind, I haven't been happy with the process or the final product. So I don't know, maybe we should be thinking about that a little bit more as creators. No, you viewers are fine. Just keep doing what you're doing, I guess. I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna say like boycott someone if you think their thumbnails are too well done or like anything like that. I keep thinking about like how good the internet used to be and like what it is now, and it makes me so sad for you guys, like the younger sewists that are coming up right now. It's so hard to find the good information. People talk about burnout all the time from creator perspectives. I don't see people talking about this flavor of burnout where it's like you're a girl boss zombie and you're just making content that's gonna get little clicks, like be in your niche or whatever. The algorithm doesn't need you to sew for it. It doesn't need clothes. The algorithm can be naked, it's fine. And please don't take me out of context and think that I'm saying that like people who do sewing vlogs are bad or that people shouldn't be charging for their patterns. That's not what I'm saying. There's some nuance here. I'm really worried about the direction that we're going as a community, because I just don't see the same care for the audience that I used to. You know, people aren't disclosing affiliate links, and I mean, I see people disclosing affiliate links and marketing things in the sewing space more than I do in other spaces, but I'm still not happy about it, you know? This is my house. We go by my rules here. and I would like the standards to change. So I'm gonna hold myself to a standard because I can't do anything and I don't want to be able to do anything for anyone else. Marketing is its own skill, and that's completely separate from educating and the actual skill that we're out here trying to teach, which is, you know, sewing as a broad term. And the same people that have marketing skills are not always the people that have the skills that they're marketing. And sometimes the experts get drowned out in all of the candy-coated noise. Anywho, if you liked the video, be sure to like it so more awesome people like you can see it. I'm like cringing to my bones now because I feel like such a hypocrite doing my outro. We all play the game a little bit, but don't let the game play you, I guess. If you would like to see my coffee patterns, there's a link down in the description box below, and I've got some more great stuff planned for y'all. It is on the way. And thank you all for bearing with me with this extended absence that I was on. I really appreciate you all. You are great. The wind beneath my wings. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys. Or did I say bye friends before? I think I used to say bye friends. Bye friends. Yeah, see, that felt right. And I don't, like, but you're